Hey there everybody, Super Low Pursuit here. Gonna go back to working on Proud Mode quests for, should have at least a half hour before I got jet. And in the background I'm gonna be playing the Doki Doki Game Club podcast, which fortunately it looks like they stopped doing them, but this will be the latest one, episode 16.
That means we're either recording a retro video game podcast, or we're playing Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, on this episode of Doki Doki Game Club. Hello and welcome to Doki Doki Game Club, a retro video game podcast. I am your host, Brandon Fincher, and I am joined today by my very own set of determined adventurers. Frank Martin.
Have at me.
Brian Grogan.
Hello.
Game Club, we each take a turn choosing a particular title from video game history, and we announce the selection online so everyone can play along at home. There, two title, at which point we reconvene and dig into the ins and outs of the selection. Today's pick was a wild card, and the title is Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon for modern consoles and PC.
Alright, two of us. Let's switch that down. Oh, yeah, the more than that.
Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon was created as a bonus game for former Castlevania producer Koji Igarashi's crowdfunded Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. It was developed by NT Creates and released on May 24th for the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo 3DS, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, and PC, with the Xbox One version following on June 6th.
That'll be the trick.
Alright, my little vampires.
Yes, indeedy.
The world is a vampire, and our podcast is also a vampire.
Yeah, just everything vampires right
It's true. This game is not a bad.
I can say there's not much on vampires in this game.
Yeah.
They're demons, not vampires.
They are, they're demons, right? Yeah, so you can get away without any sort of real copyright infringement.
Yeah, they're definitely not Dracula.
Yeah.
I want to begin by opening up. If you're listening to this and you have, for some reason, not played this game, be aware that we are going to talk about plenty of spoilers.
Yeah.
So if you're not caught up, come back at another point. Now that said, let's dive right in. And I gotta say, boys, this game was a joy. It was a joy, and it warmed these old vampiric bones.
Maybe the first time you ever showed your cards so early in the cast.
I'm tipping it right away. It's a spoiler cast, and I'm gonna give you a spoiler of my love for this game. I'm tempted to write an aria, perhaps a sonata, about my love for this game. So, where to begin? Well, let's maybe put this game into some context for people listening. At least its place in Koji Igarashi's greater vision of a Castlevania universe. How to pare down this game. So it's important to note that the creator of this game, if for some reason you lived under a rock, or you don't play,
or you're just not a huge
not your
nerd.
thing. Yeah, maybe you're just not a huge nerd. In which case, why are you listening to a retro video game podcast? But I digress. No, Koji Igarashi, a name we will probably mention many times through the course of the next hour or so, is the guy responsible for turning the side-scrolling action platformer of Castlevania into an RPG game. I think that's fair.
Yeah, more or less.
I think so.
More or
And
less,
definitely,
yeah.
even regardless of how much direct influence he had on that initial transformation, his name's associated with that style of Castlevania game for sure.
For sure. I mean, historically speaking, and we were talking about this before the cast, but Koji Igarashi took over on Castlevania Symphony of the Night about halfway into its production cycle. When the original director got promoted up, Koji took over, and the rest is history. So I like to think that even if he wasn't responsible for the direction of that game, he cut his teeth on that, and like all the great portable games that we got that followed after that are directly responsible for his position, as that directing.
Yeah, he basically spent the next few years refining what Symphony of the Night established for Castlevania.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whether you like those portable games or not, there are definitely
options.
some hits and misses in there.
Sure.
For the most part, his batting average is quite good because there's some of the most fun Castlevania games, in my opinion, to play.
Yeah.
Certainly the most immersive. I mean, it's not just that platforming action experience. There are things to chase down, which makes them all great portable games, in my opinion.
And because of the structure, like the actual, more so than the 8-bit entries or 16-bit entries, I'd say the castle itself or the location of the game becomes a central character.
Yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
because of the fact that you're exploring rather than going from stage to stage.
Yeah, and as we move forward into actual talk about Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, you'll see that there's a lot of parallels. I mean, he and I'm not quite sure the division of responsibility between Igarashi and NT Creates. I mean, is that his company directly? Does anyone
I don't think
aware
so.
of that?
I don't think so, but they're kind of like your go-to if you want to
Yeah.
bring someone on board to make a throwback game. Like they made Blaster Master Zero, which is very much a very faithful and robust remake of Blaster Master.
They also
Right.
did Mighty Number 9, which is,
Ooh, whoops.
Yeah.
Oops, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
well, that was more concept though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think Integrates was involved at some point.
Yeah. They also made for a better Mega Man style game. I believe that they were responsible for a Zero Striker Gunvolt.
Yes, that's a great game.
Yeah. So I'd say they have probably as many misses as they do hits, but when they hit, they're very good at making an authentic experience.
Yeah.
And how, yeah. So typically on the show, we would talk about our any sort of pre-existing knowledge of a game or experience with a game before we get started. This is one of these rare instances, the first instance of this happening, but we have a game that's brand new, so obviously none of us grew up with it, but I thought maybe we could use this segment of the show to talk a little bit about everyone's awareness of the Kickstarter campaign, and kind of what your initial thoughts were when this concept for Igarashi to take it to the internet and have the fans pay for it sort of came up. And did you follow the Kickstarter through? Has anyone contributed? First off, I guess that would be the thing I'm most interested in. Has anyone paid into this?
That was me. Yep.
Is it you?
Yep. I joined.
Nice.
And it was
So Brian,
yeah. It was weird.
be our guide into that.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It was weird. I'm not even the world's biggest Castlevania fan, but there was such a buzz about it. Everybody's getting on, and I don't know. I think I must have just paid off a car or something. I was I felt really comfortable splurging $28 on the Kickstarter campaign. That was
non-existent.
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
And I was just yeah, sure, I'll join in. I wasn't expecting the bonus game. That was I don't even remember. I don't even think that was one of the stretch goals.
No, it came out of nowhere. I think it was announced later as a stretch goal, but I feel like by the time it was public knowledge, they're like, hey, it's out next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it snuck up out of nowhere, and I was the same. I mean, I didn't follow this. Okay, so Bloodstained was announced, the Kickstarter
I don't
occurred,
think this is
and
a word.
I wanted to mention here, actually, I have the stats up in front of me, that this game generated
I'll try to set stuff
$5,545,991
up.
American US dollars.
Of the goal of 500,000.
Right.
Yeah, bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. No wonder we got a game that they were happy to charge us a second time for. But anyhow, yeah.
I got mine for free.
Yeah, well, per your Kickstarter, yeah. yeah, I have to say that. So this game was announced. The game that we have yet to see, like the finished modern console version. And I was interested. Symphony of the Night, one of my favorite games, bar none. And Igarashi, I love the GBA and DS Castlevania games to death. And so I was really interested. And so there was all of this like hacky, like promotional stuff that followed while the Kickstarter was going on.
Oh,
You guys recall that?
it's so good though, because like that's part of Igarashi's charm is he's
Totally.
he's so
yeah. When I say
immersive.
hacky, don't take that as a derogatory statement. But it was, it's him with a cowboy hat and a whip, and it's so corny.
I seriously, I urge anyone listening to this, if you didn't watch the original promotional videos for Bloodstained, go watch them now because they're amazing.
Yeah.
And he even went all out with the full set, like he's at the head of a table, or he's at like a big chair or something.
Yeah, it looks like he's
drinking wine.
Yeah, he looks like he's kind of like in a tower. It looks like kind of like stone and like.
It's so good.
Yeah. So from these promotional videos that Iga made to announcing, kind of like giving the conceptual art, I was still on board, and then showing like the earliest stages of the game. And do you guys recall in some of those videos, like there's one where he's playing the game and it's like supposed to be him testing or coding, and it's like him with a mouse and a keyboard, but like he's not really doing anything.
No, he's just sitting at a computer.
Yeah, he's basically like sitting in front of a computer and like just like mashing on the keyboard and like clicking on the
That's
mouse.
how you make games.
Apparently, yeah. God, if it were only that easy. It's like what was the man? I'm gonna go off on a tangent here. What was the infomercial that aired like in the late 80s, early 2000s?
Tighten up the graphics on level 2.
Level 3. Yeah. So what was that even for?
It was for like a game called
Yeah. Boy, that's funny. So anyhow, I'm taking the long way around to get to this. But as they started announcing things and releasing things, I was really interested. And then a long stretch of time went by, as these Kickstarters tend to do, where we saw nothing. And then within the last year or so, things for the new game, like not the 8-bit one, but the modern game, started popping up. And it took like a hard transition from its original aesthetic into something else, like 2.5D, everything looking super rendered. And I started to get a little down on it when that stuff popped up. So honestly, when Curse of the Moon, the game we're talking about today, was announced, I was a little hesitant. And there might even have been some chat between us as a group, where I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
I barely felt that.
Yeah, I just wasn't. It didn't excite me because I hadn't seen anything about it when the name first dropped. So.
And if you look at it at a quick glance, you're like, they're just cashing in on that Castlevania 3 look.
Is it going to be one of those kind of cheap little Flash style 8-bit games?
Is it going to feel weird? Is it going to play bad?
I will say another thing because as a part of my job, I kind of have to follow this stuff on a regular basis. So I was always keeping an eye on the Bloodstained account, and I remember a big problem that it had was that Mighty Number 9 came out, and it really sucked. And it got really kind of besmirched the entire concept of funding games on Kickstarter.
But at least when it came from veterans in the scene, you kind of
exactly.
Yeah, because it was Keiji Inafune for that, and everyone was so excited about an old Mega Man head coming back to bring something like his old creation or like the old series he worked on to life, and that's a lot like what this is. Where it's someone who was involved in a series, kind of skirting copyright infringement to do the next entry.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we still haven't seen the final product, so it might still be kind of not that good. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm cautiously optimistic. If for no other reason than I enjoyed Curse of the Moon so much, and I loved the world that it created, even if it's a blatant homage. And I'm interested in the new game more now, having played this, than ever before. And I have to think that was some marketing whiz thought, oh man, well, let's give people the exact thing that they want, and then we will sell them on the thing that you want to make.
I mean, if you can get his cake in '82, hopefully that'll be great. But
yeah, by all means.
We'll see.
Well, unless anybody has anything they want to talk about as far as the context of this game in history, I'm going to say it's time for the back of the box. Battle with swords and whips in this retro-style action game brought to you by game creator Koji Igarashi and NT Creates. Play as Zangetsu, a demon slayer bearing a deep grudge, who must travel through perilous lands to defeat a powerful demon lurking in a dark castle. Zangetsu will meet with fellow travelers along the way, who can join your journey as playable characters. Switching to these characters with their unique abilities and unlock new paths through the treacherous stages. Your choices in recruiting these adventurers will change the difficulty of the game and may even affect the ending. Okay, and there you have it, the closest thing that we were able to come up with to a back of the box, and that is courtesy of the game's info site.
Yeah, it was from the Switch page, which is probably just the approved PR of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Joseph, I dare say that we need some brave soul, some fearless vampire killer to step forward and give us some summarization of Bloodstained Curse of the Moon.
I'll gladly slay these monsters. I'm auditioning to be a voice actor for Ritual of the Night, so...
I think you've got the job.
Okay, sweet. I think it's probably going to be at that level of quality. Alright, I'll give this a quick crack of the whip. Okay, if Bloodstained Ritual of the Night aims to make a new Castlevania game in the vein of Symphony of the Night, Curse of the Moon does so with an eye on NES entries like Castlevania III Dracula's Curse. It's classic side-scrolling, whipping and stabbing with sub-items, nefarious bosses, and a buck-wild castle that just won't quit throwing enemies and obstacles.
Here, here.
Yep.
I do dare say that is a nice, fair assessment.
Yes,
And, you know, and actually, reading or hearing you say that, Castlevania III Dracula's Curse, I feel like this game, to kind of further impress fans of Castlevania just how awesome it is, it feels like a Castlevania 4 that was not Super Castlevania 4. Like, let's say the NES life cycle got another 4 or 5 years out of it, and they created this game, and somehow with like an add-on chip of some sort.
And with like a new controller that adds a couple of other buttons.
Yeah,
A couple of other
definitely.
buttons and a lot more RAM to put boss stuff with.
Yeah, definitely.
The BRC 8 chip. Yeah, there we go. Couple of extra channels.
So, what is there to say about the overall structure of this game that fans of Castlevania would not be familiar with already? I mean, it is an action platformer. Igarashi's claim to fame, I think, would be the RPG-ization of Castlevania, you know, or at least that production team.
Yeah, I might pull this off.
And this game actually like forgoes that. You know, there is no leveling up, there is no items. It definitely maintains a authentic 8-bit experience in that regard.
Yeah, it's very. It's like you said. It's Castlevania 3++. Like.
Yeah, and it takes a much like the older games, like especially like Rondo of Blood. It has that opening where it's like you're getting to the castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think in Rondo of Blood it was the big carriage back sequence.
Oh yeah.
And in this one it's a train.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not on the you're on the train.
At first you're not, but yeah, the train does. You do get to hop on for the second half of the stage.
So is that and I'm just now thinking about that. So that it's a very kind of cinematic and a masterclass in its simplicity, where the very first area of the very first stage has a very familiar Castlevania feel to
Absolutely.
it. You make your way across a small area from seemingly someplace else, like you arrive to this area.
Just you and some candles, baby.
Exactly, right? Well, no longer candles. They're kind of like
Lanterns.
lanterns,
Purple
yeah,
lanterns.
floating purple lanterns, yeah. And you make your way across, you smash those things up, you get some sub-weapons, and you go through the door and you go from there. But as you're making your way across, there is a purpley black train making its way across the landscape. And not until now did I put two and two together that train is the same train that you get on to continue through the rest. Which is really a cool way to tell that story, right?
It's one of my favorite things about older games, you know, as in the way that they convey atmosphere and story without, not that many of them have cutscenes anyway, but just the fact that you could get so much information from a stage just by
playing it.
from one to the next.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
No one's telling you what it is. There's no, you're in control of the cutscene essentially. You're seeing the story through playing it, which is the best way.
Hey, Brian,
yeah.
Now's the time of the show where we mention a modern game that does that very same thing.
What could that be?
Yeah, there's a certain certain game, Dork Souls, I think it's called. I'm not sure.
Dork Souls,
right,
that's
right,
the one.
yeah.
That's the one. I need to play that one.
I thought it was Lords of the Fallen.
Okay, yeah.
Edit that, Frank. Cut that one right out.
Since we're talking about the first stage,
Yeah, I guess I'll
was
do this
anybody
one
else
twice.
relieved when you started whipping those, or sorry, not whipping, but smashing the first lanterns and they didn't drop power-ups? Like the first three that you always collect that powered up your main weapon?
Right.
I was like, okay, good. I didn't want to see that. No.
Yeah, I don't think that I was filled with relief or anything. I mean, I was expecting it, and then it didn't happen, and I guess that was kind of neat.
Yeah. But because I think it's, the archetype is more of a Alucard, where he has a sword, right? So he doesn't have a stat bonus to make his sword bigger. So it was kind of like, okay,
That's true.
yeah, I see that now.
Castlevania 1's protagonist is done in the same sort of color scheme as Zangetsu, which is that sort of rusty red, brown tan color, burnt sienna we'll call it. And so katana sub-weapons, much similar to every other Castlevania game, as opposed to
Not that I really
so you
need
collect
that,
hearts and
but-
hearts equal health, which makes much more sense than
Since I'm here.
Being power-ups.
Being currency,
That
weapon, sub-weapon
actually
currency.
threw me off. Like I was expecting. It's just funny. Like I kind of would have preferred if it was neat rather than parts.
Yeah, but every single thing I think is just barely trying to not get sued by Konami.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm assuming the most of the money from the Kickstarter definitely went into legal.
Illegal, yeah. Well spent.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
assuming the
like
lawyer
a-
was like absolutely
To
no
try
wall
twice,
meat.
probably.
Yeah, we got wall hearts
Yeah, just
instead.
stick with that.
Yeah. Wall hearts and wall money, which is kind of on the walking the line.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. About the similarities in Castlevania, just in terms of like roughness of just a rough overview of things that this game shares. So, the aforementioned floating lanterns, hearts instead of meat.
Sub-weapons that are
and
very
sub-weapons they're powered through blue vials.
Yeah.
Kind of like in a. That felt a little more like every other game.
Oh,
Kind of like an RPG.
It was like Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a mana of sorts, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you play Zangetsu, you unlock 3 other characters in the game, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But each of those characters have their own sub-weapons.
And main weapon.
Standard weapons and main weapons, which is really cool. They all have different to jump, maybe not weight, but
Different
how
jump
high,
height, for sure.
how high and how far they can jump, how far out they can attack. So their range is different from character to character, which is really, really cool. And that's the thing in my mind that stood out the most as I was playing it, where I was like, man, this is like Castlevania 3 and 2, or B.
And it's so much. It's like there's so many quality of life improvements made on Castlevania 3.
Yeah.
Like the fact that once you recruit characters, you can switch between them in an instant. Because in Castlevania 3, it's like, oh god, I have to transform to another character.
Yeah.
Let me set aside 5 seconds to watch this sequence.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's what's even better than that. So like that, the instant gratification that modern console gaming gives us with so many buttons on the controller that we didn't have back then, and all of that, is amplified with them actually, so it would have been nice enough for them to just do that, right, and make it quick and satisfactory. But you also get the ability to chain these characters together in useful ways that allow you to navigate or deal with certain enemies.
That reminded me a lot of Symphony of the Night, where you can switch to a bad form
enough.
and then kind of switch to something else.
Definitely. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it in those terms because you're getting a separate character who has a bunch of its own things going on. But no, absolutely, that's definitely a fair comparison. So yeah, I guess maybe let's list off the characters here. So so aside from Zangetsu, who do we have? Who's the first character you unlock after Zangetsu? Yeah.
The protagonist.
I didn't even think about that either. so anybody besides the handful of 80s metal nerds that might get that reference, yeah, Miriam is a character in King Diamond song and Abigail. And man, I'm even more in love with this game now that that's done on me. So thank you for that, Joseph. So you unlock Miriam.
Who's the not Belmont?
Yeah, Miriam.
She's the lead of Bloodstain, right? Am I wrong about that?
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, yeah. Which was the thing. So she was my favorite character playing this game, and for her to be the main character in the other game, it also adds to my interest in playing it.
Sure.
So she is a purple motif, like light purple and darker purple, and she has a whip, and her sub-weapons...
Fully upgraded whip.
Oh yeah,
It's fully upgraded. Yeah, along with. But unfortunately, it's not a vampire killer Morningstar-esque kind of a thing.
Straight
It's like it's Simon Belmont's first whip, kind of long hair.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And there's no, you can't turn it on fire or anything like that. That would have been nice, but maybe in the other version.
I would assume there's a little bit more trickery in the full game than just whip and stuff.
And yeah, the upcoming one. Well,
yeah.
So that's a fine moment to mention this. So there is at the time that we will post this episode, if you're listening to this, E3 happened recently, and they bloodstained the Ritual.
Ritual of the Night.
Ritual of the Night. Released like 15 minutes of actual gameplay footage.
Oh wow! Okay,
yeah.
I haven't seen that.
I sat down and watched it. We can link it in the show notes if I can remember to do so. And it was cool. The 15 minutes take place on a pirate ship of some sort.
There was a demo that came out like last year for Kickstarter.
Yeah. An enhanced version of that, maybe, or maybe like an updated version. I'm not sure how much they've done to it since then, but
yeah, but the one I watched was definitely dated 2018 E3.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I watched the same
I'm
one.
I'm just saying that I remember seeing that gameplay, so it's cool that they're kind of just working on that to show maybe some big differences between the both.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different things. I mean, and it is very, very Symphony of the Night. I mean, she has, in the 8-bit game here, she has a whip, and Ritual of the Night, she has a, she starts off with a knife or a dagger or something very similar to Alucard, not starting off with it, but ending up with it. And you can change her wardrobe based on items you pick up, kind of similar to changing Alucard's capes. I don't know, it just looks really cool, and but I was pleased to see that Miriam appears to at least be the main protagonist in this based on that one scene. She is a cool character.
And the PR is definitely all around her, so I don't think we'll have the ability to change the character as far as I know.
Oh man, see, I kind of hope that's not the case, but I mean, it won't be a deal breaker or anything, but I enjoyed that so much, and I would be interested to see. If nothing else, please, Koji Igarashi, please make sure that you have these other characters in.
I think he was in the cutscenes in that, wasn't he? I'm not sure. It might have been someone else that looked like
Jebel is, so if you watch that clip, he appears to have changed his allegiances. Spoiler alert. And so the whole plot seems to be centered around her attempting to save his soul or something. I don't know. In the 8-bit version, we don't get a lot of these characters' backgrounds.
No.
Zangetsu is kind of the character we get the most, and even that's not a ton. We just know that he is like the driving force of the story in this one, and he comes up with he meets these characters who all have a similar. What did he refer to them as? Soul shards or something?
Like that, yeah.
Right. They
have
harness
some
power
sort
of
of-
demons somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, they have some sort of demon ability.
They're
and-
tainted. They're tainted.
Yeah, and I think that he has that same ability, but he's kind of like self-loathing about it. In like a couple of the little exchanges, I got that impression that it was like he has that problem, they have that problem. His tendency would be to not ally with them based on the 2 or 3 lines of interaction that you get, and then you
He
choose to.
seems very self-centered, and he's just like, I'm gonna use you to get my end goal.
Right.
Basically, I think is
Yeah.
what he's saying.
Kudos to whoever was responsible for writing this game. Just with those couple of lines of dialogue, you certainly end up with these enough information to make this game characters interesting, which I thought was pretty cool. So from Miriam, the Whip Master,
You can also jump higher
unlock-
and slide as well.
Yeah.
That's
which another thing that makes her fun to play with, and the game rewards you for teaming up with these characters because you've got certain parts that just can't be navigated with Zangetsu because he's kind of just your meat and potatoes, middle of the road kind of a character, and like I said, Miriam she can slide under broken walls and you can make further jumps. But after Miriam, you unlock Alfred, the
Old little wizard man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your typical wizard character.
It's definitely not Scythia or whatever.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
Copyright.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
No, old man,
not
not a-
Belmont, not Scythia.
Yeah. Not a woman, an old man.
Yep.
It's-
Just like how Miriam
So-
is not a Belmont, she's a woman. So.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can take a sidestep on that.
No, I know.
Female
I know
Belmonts, yeah.
there are some present, but
Yeah. So Alfred, kind of a neat character, kind of hard to play with. He has almost no range. He relies almost solely on his sub-weapons. He has
which use a
staff.
lot of power.
Yeah, I would say that actually I like Alfred as a character. I like him because you have 4 characters to choose from. You unlock them all fairly early, and then it becomes a matter of how do you use them together, or who's your favorite? How do you like to play the game? And then the game, it becomes a whole different experience depending on who you
he
play
has some
with.
cool spells. Like he has this one that shoots out this orb that kind of bounces back and forth between its target and keeps hitting it
Oh,
for
damn it, the reverse
a
spell.
duration of 10 seconds or something.
Yeah, like the lightning one, I think it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's the one you're
Yeah.
talking about, right? The lightning one.
And did you realize you shoot out a few of those at a time?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so
I don't think I did.
Yeah.
They were so costly in
Yeah.
terms of their, the sub-weapon currency, the hearts, or the files. The one thing that I found was really cool about him was that with his ice ability, but more so with his fire ability, he has
First
the
one I
ability
should
to
take that
create a
already.
ring of fire around himself, which enables you to move through and attack enemies, or it'll destroy certain projectiles. So it just kind of acts as, it's like a buff, it acts as a barrier. But what's cool is you can activate it and then switch to another character.
and it stays on.
Yeah, so so the next character, Jebel, he's basically Alucard from Castlevania 3, not Alucard.
Yeah, what's
And
Alucard
he-
back?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
that.
I think it's Jack.
But yeah, so a neat instance with Alfred is activating that fire, switching to Jebel, and then flying as a bat.
Oh wow, I never did that.
I didn't either.
Wow, I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
think
cool.
about
Yeah.
doing that.
Time to play again.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give it a shot because it's cool.
I used to do that with the main characters. He has an ability where he kind of gives you a buff. It's like
Oh, yeah.
And it just basically doubles his damage off with it.
Yeah, and I would switch over to Miriam.
That's smart.
I didn't know you could do that
See,
either.
I never tried that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just assumed.
Well,
See, man,
I
it's
didn't start using that until, not to get too deep into it, until I did a solo Zangetsu run. I didn't really start using that buff. from that. So
Yeah,
Oh, it's great.
same here. Yeah, I mean, basically once Miriam came into the picture, I was much less inclined. I think she makes the whole thing easier.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's our 4
Oh,
characters. I guess
well, we
Miriam
should mention
out in the middle.
that Jebel, his bat attack, not just transforming into a bat, but his bat attack is a very interesting, interesting move because it shoots an arc of bats upward, like, which is actually
that is
it is
important
actually
to
really
know because-
good. I kind of found myself using that a lot toward the end of the game, especially toward enemies that were like dropping frogmen kind of guys. Because you could just walk through and just keep like spamming that move, and you would catch them right as they came in front of you.
Definitely. And
Before I was gonna say, before I forget to mention this, but I was playing early on in the game, and I was thinking, oh, when are the flea men gonna show up? Because there would have to have.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And then those frogs showed up. I was like,
I like, I thought it was cool, and they're not so annoying. I mean,
No.
the game has your Medusa heads in the form of the. Did anybody notice that when I refer to those Medusa head characters, you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Are they the
yes.
arms?
Yeah, okay.
Is that what they are?
They're like hands. They're like blue hands
Is that
with an
what it
eye in
is?
the middle. And if you look closely at the sprite, like I could not help but think of
Vampire Hunter
the
D.
blue. No, I couldn't help but think of like Jumbo Phillips, like the skateboard artist that did the blue screaming hand for Thrasher.
Yeah. That's like
You lost me.
that's like an
No.
iconic skateboard.
Yeah, if you see it, Frank, I know you'll recognize it. It's
Okay.
basically a severed blue hand, like that's in a sort of claw-like position,
Okay.
with a mouth open, and the mouth is
I
like
was wa-
screaming. It looks basically like this enemy, but with a instead
What are
of
the
mouth,
dates on that? I wonder though, because like I wonder if that skateboard design was like really inspired by Vampire Hunter D, because so much of skateboarding is, like I mean by like anime, like.
Right,
No,
you really.
but-
I think you maybe you skated hookups.
I did
too
skate
much,
hookups a lot.
I figured you
Yeah,
probably did.
I had all the hookup
That's
shirts.
funny.
I just want to say that on the record, all skateboarding is all influenced by Vampire Hunter D.
You heard it here first.
Every move, every trick is from the original OVA.
Yeah, one OVA.
Tony Hawk's happening.
Tony Hawk's Pro Butler.
Oh man.
Okay, so you've got these 4 very different characters, very different play styles, giving you 4 unique experiences on how to play through this game. And as I mentioned, you get online fairly early in the game, and it becomes at that point a matter of mixing and matching to your likeness, or to your preference. So this game has some. So maybe we'll move into talking about the stage layout for this one. So we mentioned the train. And between each stage, in proper, not Castlevania fashion, you have a map that as you move from location to location, you hit a dot and you travel through on the line from point A to point B.
Oops.
And you get to see this sort of not Transylvania European landscape. And yeah, I don't know, just super cool, excellent. An excellent way to take you to the different types of locations that this game has to offer. So you start off. The stage is called Moonlight Temptation.
By the way, all the names of stages in this game are absolutely incredible.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Like metal, like
Very
song
heavy
names.
metal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
These come
So
back
they're
to
all
us
they're all
every
actually
time.
White Snake albums.
Yeah, I'm looking closely. Might be King Diamond songs.
Maybe,
I'm not
yeah.
sure. Merciful Fate.
I think we should have saved all of these for different subtitles for future Bloodstained games.
Oh man, yeah. Because as I know from personal experience, it's difficult to come up with a fake Castlevania title.
Yeah.
You really have to scramble
Yeah.
for that. So these guys have nailed out at least 8 of them to great success. So Moonlight Temptation takes you through a town. Right?
Yeah.
You're going to a building. You're making your way. It's essentially you're approaching a train station. The train station is in a town.
Yeah.
And then you get on a train and take your way forward from there. You hit stop at an ice mine, a frozen cave. I'm not quite sure. You don't really mine ice, so I'm not sure what else to call that.
I don't know why you go into that cave to begin with. I think
Yeah,
you
it's
just
probably
start going into the cave.
Yeah, well, I mean, the
Or it would
train
be.
is stopped when you
Have reverse
fight
results.
the the first boss, and maybe we can kind of talk about this stage by stage and boss by boss if you want.
Well, the train is I'm looking at the map right now. So the train goes into a
Oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
Okay, so maybe it breaks down there.
and then it breaks down, and then because you kill the train.
Yes.
Yes, man, this game had no problem being bold with these boss.
And the boss name is Glutton Train. That's the official boss name, by the way. I didn't make that one up.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's good. Excellent way. I mean, so massive sprite, right? Like this game does a great job with making these huge boss sprites, and it comes right out of the gate with this one. You have this giant steampunk demon, furnace beast.
Yeah, I assume this is like the engine of the train, basically, come to life.
Yeah.
I'm
Demon-possessed train.
I'm wondering if it's kind of like a Mega Man thing where it was initially built as this sentient being, but then got possessed, or was
Are we going deep into the lore because we can do that?
Oh, please! You know that's my bread and butter. You gotta be careful with that. No, I like the idea of being that we've established that demons are a problem, and that there's a human population in this world. I like the idea of like demons being able to possess inanimate objects, a la Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. That's fun to me.
I can get down with
That's
that.
what I'm going with.
Yeah. So a train got possessed. We can go with that.
Yeah. So we're gonna say a train got possessed.
And let me just say, one of my favorite tropes in anything, and it's not like it's all over the place. I just love ghost trains. I love evil trains. Final Fantasy VI suplex a train.
Final Fantasy VI. Yeah.
And this game does a great job when you get into the train proper. The layout of the train cars themselves, excellent stage design. Like the look of it. Like there are booths, and like you would see on a normal train, like seats, and tables, and chandeliers.
What I like about it is that it's a straight hallway, fine, but to give it some flair, you have to go outside, go up the stairs, and then.
By the way, Brandon just revealed how fancy he is. He's like, look, you see a normal train, chandeliers.
Yeah, right.
Like fancy light fixtures. How about that?
Here's another proposal, not to get on another huge tangent, but so we know there's demons in this world. But what if it's kind of like Berserk, where these people that are tainted, let's call them tainted, attract these demons? So
I'm into that.
So what if this train wasn't possessed, but because this guy is on the train?
Is your fan? What's
so
the URL?
So he's the reason. Yeah, please. If this isn't the actual lore, let's just go ahead and write this game out here on the air.
I'm gonna send my resume to.
Please do.
Oh, no, don't do that because he obviously has no qualms about stealing from another company. Okay, I love you, Eagle. So we get into a mountain, a frozen mountain, because you've destroyed the train, and you have to hoof it.
And what's the stage called?
Yeah.
It's called Frigid.
I love it so much.
It's real good. It's real good. Yeah. That satisfies the Dante's Inferno fan. The idea of a frozen hell.
Yeah.
So you make your way through. Excellent stage overall. Love the blue motif. No annoying slippage, as is so often the case in ice stages. But plenty of ice appropriate enemies. You get some giant frozen golems. I mean, I don't want to short sell the average enemy in this game. I mean, everything is just really well thought out.
Yeah, I really love the enemy design.
They brought back.
Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say they brought back these weird enemies from stage 1 that I don't know exactly what they look like. They kind of look like.
Oh, yes, I would
their
have.
body part that kind of comes out and has like a cape. Do you know what I mean?
Are you referring to the red ones that sort of sway back and forth?
Yeah,
man, really good, really awesome animation for those enemies. Just creepy.
What are they?
Yeah,
some sort of Crimson Wraith kind of a thing.
I'm not. Yeah, some of the designs. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking at, but that's 8-bit art in general.
Yeah, and I'm assuming it'll translate better in the physical game because I know some enemies in the ship are the exact same enemies.
Alright, be right back.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen.
In fact, what's funny is the ones in the upcoming game.
I have to take off here soon.
This one that kind of jellyfish looking dudes, they actually look more impressive and large in this game than they do in the new one.
That's true. Yeah. Because your spread is smaller in this game than it is it's going to be
Yeah.
inline. But
Right.
the enemies seem to be the same size, so you're smaller, but the enemies are bigger. Yeah. Well,
Very cool enemies, and I think they actually, it's easy to make a game like this and end up with enemies that are kind of, just okay, like Mitsume Gatoru kind of enemies, like just like
Yeah.
where it's just
Right.
like you get what it is. It's a troll. It's a troll doll. I get it, but all of them are cool,
Yeah, and they had like it seemed like they had a reason. There was like there was thought.
Yeah, good
just
placement and good just character design in general.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like
Well, I still got some
Yeah.
time. I don't know if
Those
I'll
are-
be able to
Yeah.
finish
No,
all
they look
these.
great. They're hulking, menacing creatures,
Yeah.
and the game does an excellent job in terms of its item placement, and in terms of how it releases allies to you, and like giving you areas that using the ally makes it more easy to play through. But also the same can be said for the sub-weapons. So I think of the golems in particular. I can recall playing with Zangetsu, smashing a floating lantern, getting his sort of
Yeah,
Taoist Shinto scroll.
Oh yeah, the one that smashes down like holy water.
Yeah.
Not holy water.
Not holy water. Yeah. I really like that. And yeah, he shoots this projectile with a purple vortex kind of a thing. I know vortex isn't the right word. But it stays in position. Yeah, it just swirls. And so I can think of the time, when you first see that and then you smash that golem with it. Just really cool. Like I like the placement for that. And that's pretty Castlevania as well. Like, here's an axe that you throw in an arc, and here's a suit of armor on the level above where you're standing.
Yeah.
And it's fun to put those little pieces
Yeah,
together
that
like
first level was like expertly crafted for that because like you would get the diagonal whip sub-weapon and then also these bats that are coming down for you. So like it's perfect. Like and then they would give you the next one for the next one.
The other side of that coin, however, and an equally favorable coin, is that you come across enemies in stage 3, the Brilliant Void. And I don't want to skip over the boss for Frigid Hell, but I do want to talk about this for a second. Is you have these sort of red and pink colored enemies that are like lurking on all fours and they're crawling across the ceiling like xenomorphs or something from Aliens, and they will fall on you. And at that point, you don't have not unlocked Juggle yet. And so you really don't have an ally or even a sub-weapon really capable of shooting directly upwards. And so it can be kind of frustrating. And it provides a challenge. You have to figure out how you're going to move the area. I guess sort of bait them into falling.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
But I didn't have a lot of success
Usually,
with that.
what I found is that you have to, step into them maybe like a pixel or two and then back out. That was the only real viable option.
But it's cool because this game has areas that are only accessible with certain characters, and they show you these areas early on, and then at any point in the game, you can you bring up a pause menu, and there's a feature called Curse of the Moon, and if you use the Curse of the Moon feature, you can go back and play the previous stages with another character. Do you guys do any of that?
I saw the option like on my third playthrough. I mean,
Are you sure that you go back?
You can actually use the other character?
Yeah, I thought you just brought back time.
I thought it was just I didn't actually try it because it said like make up for your past mistakes.
And I just assumed, so I should probably have confirmed that before I said that. But I can't imagine that they would take them away, because then what do you just say?
No, they definitely do.
Replay the stage?
Yeah,
They take the characters away?
Yeah.
Okay, well, nevertheless, when you go through this game a second time...
Yeah, but that's what I think it's for, is like when you're in the first level and you see those areas that you can only access with, let's say...
Miriam or someone, like, for sliding.
Exactly. Yeah, you just go, oh, I can go there. Not now.
So, I mean, I don't know why you would want to in a second playthrough, but if you went back on a second playthrough, you would presumably have all three characters anyhow, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not just
I think it's mainly if you miss an item, like let's say like you didn't
Yeah,
have
it's
your character
a
alive at that point, and then you go back and say, I really could have gotten an item.
Also, when you go back and play through again, and you have Miriam who can slide, then all of a sudden you're doing better or you're going like on better routes throughout the stages.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And this game really does the best version of a fork in the road. You know, like Castlevania 3 tried to do that. I mean, you know, they did it as best they could, I guess. Where you know you go up, you go down. You know, you go one way, you're going to end up with Grant. You go one way, you're going to end up with
Yeah,
Alucard.
in this one, there were some stages I'd go back to and I'd be like, I played the game 3 times at this point, and I'd be like, I've never been in this room. This is cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I've played it 3 times as well, and there is a stage in particular, and I actually asked Brian about it because I knew he was kind of devoting a lot of time to this game at one point. And there is a room in one of the later stages. It's once you're in the castle, so it's got to be 7 or 8, where it's like barred off with a metal door, but then you see on the other side of that metal door like a proper door that you can enter through. And man, I threw ice at it. I tried to hit it with sub weapons. I tried to hit it with all the enemy or all of the characters.
Is that the one where you also have to freeze the beast below it to get to it?
No,
Maybe I don't
think
know because
that's
this
it,
is like
yeah.
kind of far off, and only certain enemies or only certain allies can even
Okay.
reach it. Yeah, I'll have to dig through. I think I probably saw an image of it on my phone. I literally sent the picture to Brian and said, "Do you have any idea how to?"
Do you guys know
open this door?"
which one I'm talking about? There's one where there's a giant like enemy on the bottom of the stage.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah,
chimera or
you can
something,
freeze
right?
him with Alfred, and then get on top of him, and then break the wall.
Yep.
It's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. No,
All right,
really
I'm
cool.
just gonna make a break for
this
the
game does
target.
just such a great job of like giving you these forking paths that only certain characters can get through. So you have the Brilliant Void.
Wait, first,
off,
hit me up
what-
with that second stage
Oh,
boss.
yes, sorry. So that second stage boss, excellent. That is just a sign of like a designer going, I'm gonna have all the fun I want to have, and I'm gonna make this crazy transforming sea turtle centaur. Does that sound right?
It's Gamera.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because
That
it's
is
that
good.
spinning
Yeah,
turtle shell.
Chimera.
Well, it's Gamera, but with
With a Sentai coming out of it.
Yeah,
Oh, I guess it could've
making
been.
it like a centaur version of Gamera. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, like I so much fun. Like, why is it in a frozen mountain?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ask
Who
Frank.
cares? It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank. Well, yeah, as our Curse of the Moon lore historian, please elaborate on why there is a centaur.
Well, the turtle was there before, and the man was there hunting the turtle, and because you got close to it, a demon merged them together.
I thought you were just going to say they had sex.
Bravo. I was expecting sex, and I was really glad that you went classic.
This is actually boss, and there's a few bosses. I think actually most of the bosses. If you don't know that some attacks are coming, then you're not going to be able to dodge them.
Yeah.
Which is like small.
Which ones with this guy in particular, if you wouldn't mind?
Okay, so like when the turtle boss goes off the screen, I guess upwards, and then and then it starts dropping stuff on you. Like you know, perhaps if you had if you have like superhuman ability to see that coming, like you'd be able to dodge the boulders that it drops. However, when it itself drops, you'd have to have been moving before it actually starts.
It took me like
Yeah,
4
there's no-
or
I'm
4 or
with
5
you.
times to even figure out how to dodge the rocks.
The thing, the game does this, and it does this with the bosses a lot. However, you have enough health, and it's overall easy enough that it doesn't really matter. But it does kind of irk me that that they did this.
There's no telegraphing sometimes.
Right.
Alright,
And then
last
all the
one.
bosses have like a death throw final attack, and
That is cool, though. I found that
Oh,
really
yeah.
nice.
Love it.
Now,
Love it.
on the downside, especially this one, if you didn't, you have to be jumping, and then
I don't even think a jump will save you. I think you.
I don't think it kills. I don't think it kills you though.
It does not kill you.
that's the thing. It
actually
doesn't.
can't, yeah.
Even if you're at 1 health, yes, it will not kill you.
Yeah.
So that's. I didn't know maybe
Yeah.
if there was a different mode that it doesn't do that. Maybe on the boss.
But I played Veteran and Nightmare.
Yeah,
and
because
I-
I've gotten to the
yeah,
end
yeah.
and had 1 health, and I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna die
Yeah,
no matter
right.
what because I don't know how to dodge
Yeah.
their final attack yet.
So it's all cinematic. But no,
Yep.
I've seen.
And I love it. I love it to death.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's so fun. I wish that every 8-bit game ever
Had a
had
death
that,
throw?
like a giant
Desperation.
death throw. Yeah. Yep.
That's great.
So-
But I wish it killed you because I think you should.
No.
I think you should come prepared for it. I like that.
But because it's so cinematic, there's really, I mean, with most of the enemies, there's almost like no way to avoid it.
Yes.
I mean, with the train boss, you could jump behind the platform once you know it's coming, and like it completely misses you.
The thing is, you don't know it's coming. Is the thing.
Yeah.
Well, it telegraphs it like it telegraphs its other moves, and you're kind of expecting it. Like I remember the first time I'm going like, oh, okay, I guess I didn't kill him. I guess there's like a phase 2, and I thought he was going to shoot his fire and so I was just waiting to move out of the way, and then I got blasted in the face by that heat ray.
And now that you know it's coming, you can avoid it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
if you
yeah,
didn't-
second time I
You
played
think
it.
so? The second time I played it, I was like, why do I keep forgetting that he's going to do that?
But like the
Yeah.
turtle one, I have no idea how to dodge that.
Yeah, you have
Turning into it.
to time it exactly right. You have to know exactly when it's coming. If you're in the air as it appears on the screen, then as you drop down, it'll go over your
I
head.
think you have to be
I
Miriam
saw some.
or Super
All
Resistance.
right, well, that's it for now. I'm
You're
probably
right.
gonna do a pull video
like,
and I'll
you know,
upload
the
that
second
to
Or
you.
yeah, or yeah.
All right, thanks for watching. Bye.